sauter le temps, ne plus savoir ce qui m'attend, me croire en un rêve perdu, transporté dans l'inconnu, blottir dans l'ombre de ton cœur, mon cœur et mon désir, cueillir dans l'ombre le bonheur d'un jour prêt à fleurir, sentir ton cœur troublé contre mon cœur abandonné, frémir comme un oiseau brisé au vertige d'un baiser. Valser dans l'ombre entre tes bras, tourner, tourner sans bruit, bercer ton ombre sur mes pas, valser avec la nuit.
Hello, everyone. That beautiful piece of music is obviously familiar to many. It is known in this version as Waltzing in the Shadows. Music is by Charles Dumont. The lyrics are by Louis Potrat. Singer is Lucien oh, I'm so terrible with my pronunciations, but it's being posted with the CD information and all. I will not even try to butcher that French. Where's Karen Axelrod when you need her? Good morning and good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I am Darlene Hamilton, and we are the Historical Tea and Dance Society. Helping us out on our team, we have Lindsay Burble. And in Zoom, we have helping out today Reed Wilson. Hi, Reed. And helping out on Facebook Live, we have Larry Hansen. Thank you all. Nice to have you here with us today. We have Dan Vilter, who's following along in the background in training in case we ever need his help. So thanks, Dan, for being with us today. And let me... There's Dan. We have a wonderful team of people. I really appreciate them. There's a lot of behind the scenes things that we do. So thank you all for being here. Reed and Larry will be watching for your comments and your questions in their respective formats that they're working in. So please feel free to post questions because the guests love questions. We love getting them answered. It's a lot of fun. It keeps the dialogue moving along. So please feel free. Don't be shy. And we will be keeping them all. If we do not get to the yes, and Lindsay's cat has something he wants to know. If we don't get to your questions in our web chat, we will get to them in the after talk. So please tune in for that. At the end of this program, we will be posting the link if you did not already get it in your registration email. So always register and then you'll have the links right there for you to grab. All right, let me go into a bio of Walter Nelson. I think for many of us in Southern California, he is well known, but many of you have not maybe heard of him. Walter is a UC Berkeley graduate. He's an Army intelligence veteran and an information architecture specialist. He's Been involved in recreation of history and vintage dance for over 40 years. Walter has participated in hundreds of living history programs in the United States and Britain, covering eras from the Middle Ages to the Second World War. He has done it all. He has lectured on topics such as Victorian etiquette, historical games, phrenology, maybe we'll ask him something about that in the after talk, historical costume, and the history of dance. He's appeared on the History Channel and on A&E, and he has been interviewed as an expert on primitive firearms on the Modern Marvels TV program and as an expert on Victorian etiquette for Penn and Teller program on Showtime Network. Walter has been involved in organizing highly successful vintage dance programs such as the Jane Austen Evening and the Avalon Ball and the Social Dance Irregulars Victorian Grand Ball. He's worked in partnership with his wife Sheila as a consultant, presenter, and performer in historical programs for organizations like the Workman Temple Homestead Museum, the Jane Austen Society, the Huntington Library, the Autry Museum, the Getty, the Los Angeles Master Chorale. As you could tell, the list goes on and on. His most recent project is involved in researching and teaching the social dances of the Jazz Age using primarily original film footage as source. Walter is actually directly responsible for our group, the Historical Tea and Dance Society, getting its start because of his Grand Victorian Ball, and we wanted to learn more and we wanted to have a chance to dance more. And he's also directly responsible for thousands of people around the country falling in love with historical dance, including Jane Austen, Victorian, Ragtime, early Jazz Age. He really is a master at teaching new people to overcome their fear and get out on the dance floor and dance. So welcome, Walter Nelson. We owe you a debt of gratitude. It's great to have you here with us.
Well, thank you. Thank you. That was very kind. Well, I guess I have been more than properly introduced. So now I suppose I will just launch into it.
Let me first.
All
Are
right.
you going to do a preamble to your things?
No, I'll just start running down my list of stuff.
Let me first show the card. So.
All right. Show the card.
Yes. Thing one.
Thing one. Partner connection. Okay. So anyway, that is, I think, one of the foundations of social dance. It is the foundation of social dance. It's not social dance without that connection. But it's something that is frequently neglected in practice and instruction. I have an example. I visited an event. It was a colonial dance event back east, and I won't mention the place, but I found it to be kind of unsatisfying. And then I was realizing that the issue was that nobody made eye contact with me. Everyone was just sort of walking through the figures, and they got the figures right. But it was all just eyes straight ahead. And so clearly no one had made that a priority for them. Interestingly enough, I came back a few months later. This time, actually, I had Sheila with me, and we made the point of going to their dance class the Thursday before, and made some connections. And by the end, I had a lot of women who were wanting to dance with me because I was the one guy that actually danced with them, as opposed to walking through the figures. And this is important in all styles. It's of course it's a different dynamic if you're doing a partner dance, a round dance, like a waltz or a polka or a foxtrot or something like that. But it is important to focus on your partner. And one of the things that I am obsessive in doing in instruction is showing films. It's like like in back when you were in school and you had essentially a little mini vacation because the teacher decided to show a film. So I'm going to be showing a film right now, a couple of films. Um, and let's see, gonna share the screen. And okay, now I'm going to be showing a couple of films. One is theatrical, and the other is historical. It's an old newsreel. Um, the first one is actually from the film Valmont, which had a lot of flaws, and it also made the mistake of coming out at the same time as Dangerous Liaisons, and it's exactly the same story based on the same source. Um, but and it didn't do very well. But there is a wonderful scene in it, which I think is a wonderful example of how a skillful dancer partners with his partners. And he dances 4 different dances with 4 different partners. And the first one is a minuet with an old lady, and it's a very gentle, graceful, sweet dance. Then he dances a gigue with a teenage girl, and it's very rambunctious. And then he dances a minuet with a former lover, and it's a very sort of knowing dance, and clearly there's some connection there. And the fourth one is a seduction. So anyway, here we go, a scene from Valmont. Okay, and that is actually of all the many movies I have watched, that is the I think the best theatrical presentation of the sense that a dance is a relationship. Now, I'll show one other brief clip, and then I will start expostulating on that particular topic. And this is a newsreel, a Fox Movie Tone newsreel from Greenwich Village in 1928 of a Spanish, and that was a wide term back then, restaurant, where a couple are dancing a tango milonga, and it is I just love the connection between the two of them and the fact that they're clearly are having a great time.
Elizabeth Morgan y Alberto de Lima en típico tango argentino. ¡Bravo!
Okay, so let's see. Yeah, let's kind of. There we go. Let's get back to. There we. All right. So anyway, those were illustrative of my notion of how it's supposed to be, and that dancing is a relationship. In the same way that any other that you might have any other relationship. It isn't just, or it shouldn't be, like the man says, "This is my dance. I will now run through my routine. It doesn't matter who you are or what you think about it. I am now doing my dance." And it is also should not be a case of, I am such an awesome dancer, I will now use you as a prop to demonstrate to the world what an awesome dancer I am. There should be a two-way communication, and this is the same with a set dance, like an English country dance, as it is with a partner dance. You are your partner, and of course in an English country dance, your partner can vary from second to second because you're interacting with many different people. But that other person is letting you know by his or her actions what this momentary relationship is going to be. And it can be, it can be formal, it can be playful, it can be flirtatious. It often does with me very much reflect the actual relationship I have with that person opposite me. Everyone should have their own, style. I have a particular way of interacting. Other people, one person who's who I really like his style is Bruce McRae. who's the husband of a former dance caller at the Jane Austen evening, and he's very playful. But he very much connects with his partner, and they go through a dance, often with a great deal of silliness. I tend to be a little more flirtatious, but that's me. I remember at one point we were standing next to each other in a set, and he turned to me after I'd done some sort of move, and he said, "You never look at me like that." Anyway, it should be that. And your partner is telling you, and in my case, where she would like this to go. And it can go any number of places, but it is a dialogue, a communication, and you need to be open to that. One other point, and this was actually one of the most stinging rebukes I once had from a partner, was when she said, "When I dance with you, it feels like I'm taking a test." And that, I took that one to heart. I really didn't, that what it said to me was that she was feeling threatened, challenged beyond her confidence by things I was throwing at her. And I needed to be more attuned to what she was comfortable with. And, I try not to do that anymore. It can still be an issue, especially with dealing with an inexperienced dancer. But I try very hard to not let my partner feel like she's taking a test. That what we're doing is we are having a pleasant time together. And the point of it, regardless of our relative levels of experience, is to come out of it feeling like we've had a good time. And it's not about a performance. It's not about showing off. It's not about impressing anybody, because honestly, nobody's watching if it's just a social dance. And if they are, well, they'll see what they see. But it's really all about what we are experiencing in our little dance. Let's see. Another element, of course, is if you're leading, you need to lead confidently. You need to lead. You need to not be weak and floppy and uncertain. That's the key. Is do not pause and wonder what you're going to do next. Because, of course, at that point, she will think, okay, I guess I need to do something. And or things will just break down. And that really depends on your level of experience, your level of confidence. I strongly recommend only doing on the dance floor. And I'm not talking about dance classes. Dance classes are where you need to experiment and fail. But in the social dance context, have an inventory of what you think you can do well, and do that. Only if you think your partner is up for it, should you try some sort of experiment. But as I said, need to lead confidently. You need to give clear signals. One of the places I learned to dance was at the Dickens Christmas Fair, where as a teenager, an 18, 19-year-old, I worked as a dime dance boy at Fezziwig's Dance Hall, and it was my job to go up to the customer ladies and ask them to dance. And one of the things this gave me was the lead of iron. The ma'am, you may think we're going this way, but we're going this way lead. The totally unambiguous, this is what we're doing now lead, which is essential if you're dealing with someone who's not necessarily confident in a particular dance. And it's also, but of course, at the same time, as I've mentioned before, you need to be sensitive to what's working for her. And that's the key, of course, is you have to do what's working. If something doesn't work, first of all, let it go. Never give her a sense of rebuke. Oh, I thought you were a good dancer. You should have been able to do that. Just smile, move on, and don't do it again. You know, it's the old joke about the person goes to the doctor and says, "Doctor, it hurts when I go like this." And the doctor says, "Then don't go like this." If it doesn't work, leave it. Move on. Dance classes are where you should be trying that sort of thing. But of course, the follow, the lead, is very much dependent upon what kind of dancing you're doing. With something like, with a set dance, with a quadrille, with an English country dance, something like that, the lead is very much about setting the tone. And moving confidently, and knowing what the next thing is. Whereas with other styles of dance, it is like jazz age. It is about a relaxed lead. Swing, it's about, and modern ballroom, it's about moving from one routine to the other. And Victorian is sort of a combination of the two. Just a few very quick, before I move on to the next, a few very quick suggestions for English country dance, which is a big part of what I know much of this audience is doing. Hold your hands low. That allows you to get closer to each other. It's also historically correct. And you can enhance eye contact. And also, one little thing about some of the dances have these overhand turns, and sometimes that doesn't work with particular costumes. And something I would suggest, which is also historically correct option, is, and let's see if I can even demonstrate it here. Instead of going up, go across. So you come in, hands held, and only your elbow, after your elbow, is actually up, so you aren't ripping out your gown or your too tight coat. You move face to face, and then you turn around each other. And I think I like that. I prefer that because I like the eye contact, but it also is a solution to the great issue of how do I do that when I can't lift my elbow above the horizontal because my clothing is too tight. And I guess that is my we now conclude thing one.
That was great. And we have had definitely some questions about leading and waltzing and things like that. We're going to take those in the after talk. But
All right.
I do ask you one thing, because getting back to the original thing you were talking about with the different styles of the dance and such. Oh, actually, you know what? You're going to talk about that later. I'm not going to ask it now.
Okay.
All right. Let's
Don't
move on
steal my thunder.
I know. Thing number 2.
Ah, yes. Historical dance is way messier than most people think. Yeah, this is one of the issues, especially as you're initially getting into historical dance, is you learn a particular way and you think, well, that's the way it was. And chances are, yes, that is a way it was. Usually, sometimes it's completely wrong. But the thing about it is that we are dealing with dance that existed in a period where a lot of people danced, where dancing was almost universal. And I'm talking about, the whole of the 19th century up until the first half of the 20th century. Pretty much everyone danced. A whole lot of people had minimal instruction, if any, other than, learning from their sister or something like that. So there is a lot of variation in what was actually done. This is one of the wonderful things about using movies as a source, is you can get away from the dance books. And the problem with dance books is they're like etiquette books. They're somebody describing the world as it really ought to be, and not necessarily how it was. So a dance book will prescribe a particular style of dancing. And sometimes the most illuminating part of the dance book is somewhere near the beginning, when the author goes into a rant about how people are doing it wrong. And sometimes that doing it wrong rant can be a description of what the majority of the population was up to. Things like in the English country dance, people bending double as they go launching into the set. Or in the Ragtime era, people doing moving their arms like they were running a pump or something, or doing low wiggles or and things like that. And these are often descriptions of what was actually being done. And terminology is one of the great areas of ambiguity, because of course today, as we teach a dance, we change it. We lock a particular element of it in as the canonical version of that thing, and we give it a name, and then everyone tries to agree on the name. But that wasn't what was happening at the time. When dancing was being invented, the same move had many names, and the same name could get attached to many different dances. At one point, I went on a futile quest for the black bottom. And the black bottom, for those who haven't heard of it, was a dance from the mid-1920s. It was often pushed in the media as the successor to the Charleston. But the thing about it was, every video I could find of the black bottom was different. But they frequently were labeled, in the opening title card, the real black bottom, or even le vrai black bottom. But everyone was different. And I have to assume that what was going on is that the name Black Bottom spread like wildfire, and spread much faster than any guidance on how it ought to be done. And the same thing happened with the foxtrot. Around 1914, this dance came out. It was another one of the animal dances called the foxtrot, and it had a step. There's still disagreement about what that step was, because it was instantly forgotten. And foxtrot simply became the generic dance name. Everything in 4/4 time all of a sudden became foxtrot. It had been one step for a while. Before then, it was turkey trot. But it, there was sheet music from the time that was published, and it said one step. And then the second edition, same music, foxtrot. Anyway, the sense of this is that try to get a sense, if you're doing historical dance, don't be doctrinaire. The way you were taught it is not by definition the right way. There are many, many ways that anything was done in the time, because people were making it up as they went along, and they didn't go to the same classes you did. And I guess that concludes Thing 2.
That was great. I'm sure by now any of you not from this area know why we love him so much. It's fascinating stuff. All right, here we go. Thing number 3.
choosing a style. Who do you think you are when you do a historical dance? Yeah, that's dance. I guess this notion comes from the fact that I dance in events with many different themes, and I am different people in these dances. I mean, like when I go to Dickens' Christmas Fair, usually on Saturday I'm a sailor, and on Sunday I'm a gentleman in a top hat, and a sailor should waltz differently than a gentleman in a top hat. If you are, if you're going to an event and you're dressed up like a cowboy, you probably shouldn't be quite as upright and deliberate in your dancing as a man in a frock coat and a top hat. The dancing is different people danced differently depending on their social status, depending on whether they had had formal instruction. And again, the vast majority of dancers had little or no formal instruction. People of the better sort, the people of the upper classes, they had dance instructors. Though, of course, someone like Jane Austen, a dance instruction would be this little man with a miniature violin and a put-on French accent, wandering from town to town, putting on classes for the local gentry. So, dance instruction was spotty. But and also one other point is that there are an insane number of different ways to dance particular dances, especially the waltz. There are so many different waltzes. And there is this tendency of people who have learned a waltz to think, this is the waltz. All other waltzes are false waltzes. Well, my waltz is the true waltz. And you will see that they will go into various, it's a Regency event, and everyone is doing something like a Victorian or a modern ballroom waltz. There is one should always try to think about, in doing historical dance, try to think about the time, the place, your social class, what is appropriate to that person at that moment in time. And of course, this will be constrained by the amount of research you have had time or interest to do. I realize that not everyone is as obsessive about this sort of thing as I am. But having said that, I would suggest that you do the best you can to think about, is this how I should dance? And it could also be simply a matter of styling. As I said, if you're dressed like a cowboy, I would suggest relaxing, maybe dancing a little closer to your partner, and being less formal and upright, and not worry, while still dancing well, because just because you're a working man doesn't mean you can't keep the beat. Dance well, but dance in a more relaxed fashion. Whereas if you are playing a fine gentleman, upright, good frame, smooth dance. At least as much as is within your repertoire. Try to tweak whatever you're doing to the situation you are dancing in. And I suppose that's enough of that thing.
Okay. Well, I had a question that fits in much better here. I know you have this huge background in reenactment, I've seen you at Renaissance Fair and all those different places for many years. And we've had a lot of our English country dance guests who are callers come on and say that they highly recommended the benefit of improv classes. Do you have I mean, you have this background. I'm thinking that that might be something you as well recommend.
Well, actually, that is exactly what I'm talking about next.
Oh, okay. Well, here we go. So we're going to lead right into thing number 4.
Well, actually, yeah, this is no, actually, this is where I show that the photo montage.
Yes, that's true.
So here we go. One more
Number
photo
4.
montage,
Wait a
and then
minute.
my random observations on creating historical theme dance. So here we go. Gonna share my screen again. And here we go. And okay, this is about for those who may not know me. I'm a big fish in this tiny pond of Southern California vintage dance, but that doesn't mean that if you are not from around this area, that you would necessarily know me, or if you are in different circles within Southern California, you might not know me. So I want to give a little bit of background on in addition to what you've already heard in my extensive biography at the beginning. Anyway, Renaissance Fair, here we go. And for some reason, this picture is displaying oddly. But Renaissance Fair provided me and many of my collaborators, and especially with the Social Dance Irregulars, an interesting training ground. Because one of the things that Renaissance Fair does is it teaches you not only to improvise, but to be theatrical and to understand theater. And being theatrical doesn't necessarily mean being broad and histrionic. It means thinking about the show you're putting on and what is appropriate to that show, and also knowing how to engage an audience. And this is a very useful skill set. I have a friend who is a researcher. She's a specialist in gene-based cancer therapies, immune system cancer therapies, and is in great demand on the speaking circuit, not only because she's really knows her stuff, very knowledgeable, on the cutting edge of research, and she's gorgeous, but she's also a fair veteran. And I have seen her presentations on YouTube, and they are lively, engaging, interesting, and even a little bit funny, even though she is talking about gene-based cancer therapies. And that's something that you get from fair is a knowledge of how to do living theater. And I think it has been invaluable in putting on vintage dance events and in many of the other things I've done in life. Like the Social Dance Irregulars. This was done, the original committee of the Social Dance Irregulars were almost all Renaissance Fair veterans. We had done Dickens Fair, and then there's this group that started this event that started in the Bay Area called the Gaskell Occasional Dance Society, and we looked at them and thought, why the hell can't we do that? So we put together a committee. We engaged a dance master, Desmond Strobel, and he had actually put on a Victorian ball. Assisted by Irene Weta, who's still around, had put on a Victorian ball at the Wilshire Bell, and it was an artistic triumph, but a financial failure, because Desmond, while he was extremely knowledgeable and an excellent teacher, was not a businessman. So what we did is we combined our Prussian efficiency and sense of how to put together and present a program with Desmond's knowledge. And even though he passed away quite a few years ago now, he laid the foundation for what we do and have been doing since 1988 at the Social Dance Irregulars. This is our first ball, Dabney Hall in Caltech. And this is another shot a little later on, and another committee shot as time goes on. There's one of our balls. We were visited by the Pugliesis. Patri Pugliese was a luminary in the dance community of New England, of the East Coast. He unfortunately passed away from cancer some years ago. It's a little polka shot. And this gives it kind of a sense of the scale of the event. We've had as many as 300 people. Generally, we like to keep it to about 250. And this goes on once a year now. It used to be 3 times a year, but now we're down to 1 in November on the Saturday following following Thanksgiving. And of course, we've canceled it for this year, but we're hoping that by November of 2021, this sort of thing can happen again. Another event is the Jane Austen Evening. It's been going on since 1998, and that is sold out every time but one, and sometimes with the speed of Comic-Con. We had one year where the tickets were going on sale at noon on Saturday, and the vast majority of the people who were waiting and hit refresh on their browsers at noon refreshed to sold out. So it can be pretty crazy. I will say that demand has dropped off precipitously, and it took like 8 hours to sell out last time. Anyway, it's this is of course a Regency-based event. And there's another idea of the scale. It's actually in the same hall as the Victorian Ball, the Pasadena Masonic. Been doing the Lanterman Ragtime Tea Dance since 2001. This is in the ballroom of a historic house in La Cañada, Flintridge. Our band every year has been Ian Whitcomb's band. Unfortunately, he too passed away. This is when you've been doing this sort of thing as long as I have, there's a lot of people who have gone the way. Anyway, then there's the Avalon Ball, and this is the biggest event that I do, and I started it along with Dean Mora and Maxwell DeMille back in 2002, and then turned it over to the Art Deco Society of Los Angeles, and then they asked me to run it again. So I've been running it for the last 4 years. We have as many as 700 people at this event. And of course, it's in May, and it was canceled. We have it scheduled for May of 2021. We'll see. Tickets are on sale, and we're hopeful that by May of 2021 we can actually put 700 people in a room. It is in the gorgeous 1929 Avalon Ballroom on Catalina Island. And it is a spectacular event, and here I am leading the conga line, probably the longest conga line you will ever see. Maybe 500 people in this conga line, and Sheila's off there on the right. My wife Sheila's off there on the right. She's working as a floor manager. It's her job to herd the drunks who might get lost back into the line so they don't cause chaos. And here's another shot. Worked on the Queen Mary Art Deco Festival for many years while it was still going, and that had a significant dance component. And then the Lanterman Summer White's Picnic and Ukulele Rendezvous, same place as the Ragtime Tea Dance, but it's an event that uses the whole grounds, and everyone is encouraged to come in summer whites of any period. So we have people from the 18th century sitting down and picnicking with people in white polyester disco outfits. So. And then I've been doing dance workshops, and this one is actually in my home. We recently acquired a home that the living room can easily be turned into a quite adequate dance studio. And then, of course, everything locked down. So anyway, and then dancing a bit around town. So I think come on, here we go, and I'll stop sharing and go into putting on an event. So let's see. Here we go. First thing, of course, is look at the venue, the ambiance. I mean, does it fit in with the idea of the ball, the theme of the ball? How much does it cost? Can we make this work? And of course, that's a combination of everything: the cost of the hall, the cost of the band, insurance, and all those other things have to get thrown together and then put in a spreadsheet, and then you just plug in an admission price and an estimate as to how many people you want to have show up, and see how many how much do you need to charge to make this work. I try to keep the price as low as is feasible, but unfortunately, it's just getting very expensive to do. For example, I don't think we could have started the Social Dance Irregulars today. I think we come into it with financial resources, connections, and so forth. We couldn't have done that, what we did in 1988. We can't do that today. It was just, we couldn't afford it. It's gotten to be really expensive to put on balls. It's a challenge. What is the location? Is it some place people feel comfortable going? There's places downtown. They're beautiful old halls, but the neighborhood is kind of scary. It's places where people could cross the street and go to the park on the interval to score a little crack. And then, of course, parking. Parking is such a challenge because there's so many places around town where parking is just bad. And a lot of the older, smaller halls don't have attached parking, and they used to, they for many years they have relied on street parking, but density has increased in LA so much that these single-family homes are no longer single-family homes, and the streets are packed. So there is no, there's no place to park. So that's a challenge. Then, of course, facilities like kitchens, restrooms, changing areas. How is the stage? Is there built-in sound systems, lights, and do you need that? And then, what kind of support staff do you have? Now, another key to the way I put on events is I am very picky about historically correct dance and music. And basically we set a day, a year, and say not after. And try as best we can to stick to it, though sometimes our bands will stray a bit. But it's about, it's about being consistent to a theme. And of course, finding the right band is essential. You need to find a band who gets it, and so few bands do. So many bands. I've been to an event that claimed to be a 1920s. And it was kind of a wedding band that did and they did the 20s stuff with a sort of 50s vibe. Then be wary. Once you've set your theme, be wary of not letting it distract you. Don't feel. One example is we once had someone approach us at the Social Dance Irregulars and say they wanted to do a vignette of Queen Victoria giving a medal to Buffalo Bill. And we said, no. And then we had another one would like to do an Apache dance. And I'm not talking about a Parisian danse Apache with a woman being thrown around. I'm talking about Apaches dancing. And we said, no. And we have set a policy that there are no, at the Social and Irregulars, there are no entertainments during the intervals. There are we have no act. And one of the key reasons for that is that now when Buffalo Bill and Queen Victoria come knocking on our door, we can point to the policy that says no acts. And we don't have to explain it, and we don't have to say, well, you know, there was this other person. And another key is efficiency. Be good, be efficient, don't be disorganized. That it really sets a very good feeling with your patrons if everything is running smoothly. If things are chaotic, it is going to impact everything. Also, opt for simplicity. Don't be more complicated than you need to be. And a lot of the key is let your guests set the ambiance. Encourage them to wear the right clothes. Though we generally, in my events, we work by while we might say, you really need to at least make an effort, you know. Man, put on a tie. But, you know, mostly we work on what we've called the Batman principle. And the Batman principle is you can come dressed as Batman as long as you pay your money. So, and then, of course, spread the word. Let the world know what you're up to. And I guess that concludes that thing.
And that was great. Hang on a second. I am trying to fix something. There we go. Down to gallery again. All right. Thing 5, and we are going to maybe run a couple minutes over because there were a couple of questions we wanted to grab. Please come to the after talk. It's going to be really fun. There's going to be a lot of great questions asked. So please come to the after talk. We will post that link in a bit. Thing 5. Yeah, it's not too long.
Cherry picking the past. Exactly. That is what we do when we're doing it right. Several years ago, I encountered a diatribe against the Gatsby program at Governor's Island in New York, and it was very much about these people are doing it wrong because the 1920s were an era of bigotry and oppression and class inequality, and why are they not? And they're presenting this sanitized version of the past, and to which I say, bullpucky. What we do, unless we're doing a historical reenactment, unless we are at a museum saying this is how it was done, come public, be educated. When we put on a vintage dance or something like that, it's not about being trying to present the entire picture of the past. What we're doing is we're cherry picking. We all know we live in the 21st century. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think very few of us would want to go back to some particular pre-antibiotic period in the past and embrace all of the social attitudes, the racial bigotry, the attitudes towards LGBT people, that sort of thing. It's all, one of the things I like to say about our Jazz Age events is that we do not present 1930 as, it is not 1930 Los Angeles. It's more like 1930 Paris in terms of who is welcome to join us. What we do is we go back, we look at the past, and we see things that are missing in today's world. Events where people have a sense of occasion, a reason to get dressed up, to make an effort to look their best, a reason to dance with each other and not, be in a club where the music is so loud that you can't hear each other and all you can do is wiggle in place. We live in the 21st century, but we bring into the 21st century the things in the past, the better music, the better dancing, the more interesting clothing, and create a better present rather than, trying to present this vignette of the past. And that is what I mean by cherry picking the past. And I guess that concludes my 5 things, which I've run through at an alarming pace.
That was great. It's so interesting, and there are definitely many other things to talk about. So come into the after talk, as I've said several times. One of the things, we are going to bring up one question before we end the program, but one of the things we really haven't talked about is, and we didn't even talk about it in the rehearsals, is your fabulous website that's just filled with all sorts of different historical information, not just about dancing, about so many other things. Could you say just a little tiny bit about that as we're bringing up our person with our question?
Well, it's walternelson.com. And I have accumulated what I hope is useful information, especially about historical dance. I have a Regency section, a Victorian section, and a 20th century section. It's branded as Mass Historia. I'm actually hoping I'm trying to migrate it over to another domain, but that's yet another story. Technology is challenging. It's a 10-year-old website using a 10-year-old version of Drupal, and well, I don't need to get into that sort of geekdom, but anyway, it's there, and I encourage people to drop by and have a look. I also have a YouTube channel that is full of my snippets of old movies, mostly. Some little brief things of videos of our events, but as an instructional tool, I will go to YouTube, and YouTube is awesome for this sort of thing. I can pull up an entire 90-minute movie, and I just sort of scroll through it. Dance scene. And I look at it and I say, this is something I can use. Download it. Snip, snip. Here we go. Dance scene. So I have collected many. I've lost track how many I have. Videos of people actually dancing. And the earliest one I have is 1888. And it is an animation of the Edward Muybridge Animal Locomotion series.
Wow.
And the first one is a man and a woman, fully clothed, dancing a waltz. And if you look at them, they're not dancing the waltz you probably learned. They are body to body, and so it's very close and not in a frame. But then because Edward Muybridge thought that 19th century fashions concealed proper movement, the next one is 2 naked women dancing a waltz. They thought it would be too lascivious to have a naked man and a naked woman together, so they just put 2 naked women together, because that's better somehow. And then there's a single naked woman dancing the footwork.
Wow. Let me interrupt you because we are running out of time. I'm
All right.
sorry. But we'll talk more about that in the after talk. And let's bring up this one question because I really liked it. Knowing Walter, having experienced so many of his amazing events over the last 35 years, wanted to get this question on there. Lindsay.
Great. All right. Karen, you have a question that you'd like to ask, I believe. If you're ready, go ahead and unmute your mic and turn on your camera.
There we go.
Hi.
Hey there, Walter. This has been
Hi,
delightful.
Karen.
I'm curious, you have done and continue to do so much for the living history and historical dance communities. If you had to choose just one thing, what would you want your legacy to be?
I think it would be the number of people who are willing to and who actively dance. One of my principal foci, has been to get people out of their chairs and say, "You can do this. This dancing is not that hard, and it's fun." And I'm trying, especially with the 20th century stuff, foxtrot and so forth. I'm trying to get people to stop saying, "Oh, I don't know how to dance," and to get up and dance. And if I can make more people dance and keep dancing even when I'm not around, that will be a legacy, I think.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Walter.
And you are doing that. So thank you so much, Walter. Let me say that we are going to post, Walter has a Jazz Age Foxtrot class coming up on October 25th. We are posting the link for that. We are posting information on the Avalon Ball. I'm going to say thank you, Walter, so much for joining us, and we're looking forward to having you in our after talk where it's a little more casual and we get to ask some of those other questions that we didn't have time for. So please all come on in. And I want to thank my Five Things team, Lindsay Verbal, Reed Wilson, Larry Hanson, and my helpers, Linda Nelson, Kara King, Dan Vilter. Really appreciate that. I really appreciate you. Renee is taking a break right now, in case anybody's saying, "Hey, what about Renee?" She is just taking a little break. She's been working with us for 6 months. She deserves a vacation. So you can find all of our web chats on Colin Hume's website. He has an accessible index there. We now have 33 plus this one. And big thank you to everybody who's been sending in donations. We really appreciate it. We haven't gotten out personal letters yet. I'm sorry, but I've been busy running this show, but promise that'll come soon. We are posting the after talk link. And let me just say quickly, coming up next week on Tuesday night is David Smuckler. We're looking forward to having him on our English Country Dance web chat. Coming up on Saturday, November 7th, we have a Music 101 for Dancers class with Rebecca King. We're posting that. Every Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific, we have a tea time. Come and join us and just talk and say hi, and you can talk about anything. We can talk about dance. We can talk about the weather. We can talk about costuming, all sorts of fun things. Walter recommends that you support the Parker Institute for Cancer Immunotherapy, which he mentioned earlier. We're going to be playing a unique rendition of Irish Lamentation for our closing, and we will see you all in about 2 minutes. We're posting all that stuff. We've blown through the end stuff. Come to the after talk. It's going to be fun. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Walter.